Let me get myself in order here. All right, let's go ahead. Alyssa, if you can hear me, let's go ahead and start recording then. All right, here we are. I want to welcome everybody to the regular Board of Directors meeting for Cameron Park Community Service District. It is Wednesday, March 17. We're starting at 6:31 p.m. And as we call to order, General Manager, would you start with roll call?
Director Easton?
Here.
Director Carlson?
Present.
Director Bazette?
Present.
Director Scobie?
Here.
Director Wooten?
Present.
Wonderful. All right, we'll move now to the Pledge of Allegiance. Director Bazette, would you lead us in that?
You would catch me just when I ate something. I'll manage. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. All right, I'll remind all of our attendees tonight that we are observing teleconference and electronic meeting protocols. The details for that are found in the agenda, and then essentially we'll observe similar protocols to as we would in person, giving folks time to speak as a public testimony will be received on each agenda item as it is called. Principal party on each side of an issue is allocated 10 minutes to speak. Individual comments limited to 3 minutes, except with the consent of the board. Individuals can speak on an item once. Members of the audience are asked to volunteer their name before addressing the board, and the board reserves the right to waive said rules by a majority vote. I'll remind our community in attendance that what we're looking for is you to raise your hand, and Alyssa will help me monitor that so that we can acknowledge you appropriately at any time. All right, so we'll move forward with the adoption, excuse me, of the agenda for tonight. This is where we'll make any additions, deletions, or corrections. Do I have any comments from the board regarding the agenda or from the community?
I make a motion to accept the agenda.
I second it.
Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Director Easton?
Aye.
Director Carlson?
Aye.
Director Bazette?
Aye.
Director Scobie?
Aye.
And Director Wooten?
Aye.
Okay, the agenda is adopted, a 5-0 vote. All right, we'll move into our time of recognitions and presentations. And we have a report tonight from our Recreation Department. So General Manager, would you lead us into that, please?
Yeah. We have our rec team here this evening, both Whitney Kahn and Kimberly Bickers. I'm going to start with accolades for Whitney. As all of you know, Whitney has taken a job with the city of Folsom, which is also where she and her family live. And so this is a great opportunity for her and will further her kind of her career interest in youth development. As you know, Whitney started with us back in September of 2019 as an interim recreation supervisor, and took the full-time position in March of 2020, just before the pandemic. And so Whitney was really, her role with the district with this pandemic was one, communication. She was the one that did the signage in the parks, did the newsletters, was meeting with the county on a weekly basis. So she really was the person that updated the website about what was closed, what was open, how to use our parks safely. So she really was that communication hub for us internally and with our residents. And I have to tell you, she remained upbeat and positive throughout all of that. And I so appreciated that. And her other key role, and I know that Kim really helped with this as well, is they really analyzed the guidelines that have come out from the state. You know, if we open our playgrounds, what does that mean? What do we have to do? If we want to do, have our swim teams using our pool, what is it? What are the guidelines that they have to follow? And so not only did they have to understand those guidelines, they had to then communicate those guidelines to our user groups and ensure that our user groups we're following them. And so both of those items were very important for the district to continue to engage our residents and to keep functioning. And so I just applaud Whitney for that. And I can't thank her enough. So anyway, I will let all of you chime in if you'd like to do so as well.
Yes, I'd like to join that. I don't know if we want to wait till after to praise her or do that now. But,
Well, she's going to introduce Kim. So this part of the program is just giving accolades to Whitney, and then Kim's going to
Great.
then Whitney's going to introduce Kim in our program.
then let's shower accolades. Whitney, I want to particularly thank you and just echo some what Jill said. Your attitude and outlook, particularly this last year, has been such a strong constant in communications with us and coming in and seeing you, and just you've been a steady upholding presence in all of this, and I've so appreciated you for that, let alone the creativity and the ideas. Okay, how do we do this now? And add on top of that, you're adjusting your role from sometimes month to month, week to week, your adaptability and all that. You have been such an enjoyable partner in this. We are better for having worked with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That's so nice.
Me, can I go, Eric?
Yes. Do I have any other directors who want to chime in there? And we'll give public time too. Go ahead, Director Scobie.
I am going to miss Whitney and her amazingly bubbly attitude and how she has so much energy. And I just really appreciate that. And to try to keep up with her, when I get around her, I get all wound up because she exudes all this energy, and she's so bubbly and happy all the time, and just a fountain of ideas. And some of the creative things she came forward with our virtual rec center, just, they're amazing. I'm just, the creativity is also, leaks. The other thing I wanted to make sure that she knew that we appreciated is her design aspect, in that I asked Jill, I'm like, we need a flow chart so that we can communicate where we are in our processes for these nifty projects that we're bringing forward. And then Jill presents us with that bubble chart, and it says, we have this, and we're at this stage, and we're looking at, first we have this public meeting, and then we have this review, and then we have this county thing, and then we go back to the public meeting. Anyways, this whole bubble chart, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is amazing. And I'm like, who did this? And she's like, well, Whitney did it. She just whipped it out. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So we're gonna really miss that with all her very talented communications that she can put down on paper to make things so easy. So easy to understand. So thank you, Whitney.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much, Director Scobie.
Whitney, I just wanted you to know, in all the months and the years I've seen you, I have never seen you or heard you say an unkind word to anybody. You are always there. You're always sweet. And you have an unbelievable talent for coming through with all the things that we need when we need them. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you guys so much. That's so sweet of you.
So
Okay.
Whitney, I haven't known you as long as everyone else, but you've made me feel very welcome in my initial meetings with you. But I'm really impressed with your work on the website. It's a very attractive, user-friendly website, and I know you are largely responsible for that. So thank you for what you've done and what you've left behind.
You're very welcome. And thankfully, yeah, there's lots of people that still, Kim knows how to do that. There's lots of people that are going to be keeping it looking good. So that's, and streamline our website provider is really the one who did the heavy lifting on that. But I'll take credit. Thanks.
Okay.
Well, Whitney, I really appreciated our field trip out west where we visited several parks, and you really gave us a sense of what we could do. It really helped, I think, with our envisioning of what the upgraded parks in Cameron Park could be like. So I really appreciated that. And I love the new pamphlet. I know that was several departments that contributed to that, but I just love how much easier it is in a kind of a modern ADD world, it's just easier, I think, to grasp what's in there. So I appreciate that.
Good. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, and so yeah, I was really sad to hear that you're quote leaving if one leaves a virtual world, but but thanks again for being able to pivot and do the grant writing too. I mean, that's amazing. That's just an amazing change. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for keeping us afloat recreation wise over the past year and doing so much more.
Of course. Yeah. I really appreciate all of you guys. I have been working in the field of public municipalities for over 15 years. The 18 months that I've been here, I've never had such a close relationship with our board, with any board I've ever worked with. And you guys have all just been so supportive, so understanding, especially in this weird COVID life we've been living for the last 12 months. So I really appreciate all of you guys and your support, and just truly unwavering support in helping us, pivot and do all these different things. So you guys as a board have been just so wonderful to work with. And really at the helm, as we all know, is Jill. And Jill, I could go on, and I wrote her a card where I did go on and on, so I won't do it in this meeting because I will cry. But Jill has been incredible, not only for giving me the opportunity to come on board and come on at this interim level, and in that first 6 months of being interim before I applied for and received the full-time position, I kind of got to test the waters and see what Cameron Park was all about. And I saw so much potential, and I saw this this place that really was kind of in this rebuilding time, and this huge opportunity to be able to make some changes and really reformat the way that recreation services were offered at the district. And all of that kind of halted with COVID. But it was a really cool opportunity for me to be able to switch hats so much. I really felt like sometimes I was going to COVID school where I just was having to learn and read and understand what OSHA's requirements were versus, all of the different things, county requirements, all of these kinds of things, and putting together the COVID work plan, I feel like is one of those things that I'll have on my resume forever, because it was a big undertaking, but it was something that I did and enjoyed because of having a leader like Jill, having a board like you guys, and working with people like Kim, like Alyssa, like Laura. Everyone in the district office is just, you guys have an incredible group of staff. So it feels really good to be leaving you guys in a way that I know you'll be okay. And I'm really excited for you guys to get to know Kim and get to know her vision for the rec department, and get to know Kim and I have worked very closely over the last, so she joined our team in June 1st of 2020, which, as we all know, was very much in the height of this COVID life. And I was in the middle of my kids, distance learning, all these crazy things. And everyone was in this weird place. And Kim was able to jump in and jump on. Sorry. Kim was able to, speaking of COVID life and little kids running into the room. So Kim.
Lost you there.
Whitney, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you there, Whitney.
Unmute.
No, she's not muted.
No, she's not muted.
Might just
She
be
lost
a-
her speaker.
Shoot. Now can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. So Kim came on at the height of we needed to figure out everything that was going to happen for summer, and her being able to come on as that aquatics expert was huge, because it let me be able to do all these other things. And then over the course of this few months, where I've gone back and forth between rec stuff, mostly grant stuff, strategic planning stuff, and I've really kind of taken my recreation hat off, she has had all that rec world on her plate, and I have seen her just absolutely shine. She's been incredible from day one, but being able to see the way she's been so quickly able to just jump into things, her ability to connect with others is going to be exactly what this district needs as we start to open things up, as we start to see more customers come in. She has a heart for recreation. She has a passion for what she does, and you guys are going to see that in everything she does. And she's very thoughtful, and she's very she has, with her background in recreation therapy, she has this ability to be able to look at how can we do this in an inclusive way. She can take anything that we offer and be able to transform it into whatever kind of needs that people may have. So I really think that she's going to do an incredible job. I know she's going to do an incredible job for you guys. And I've been telling everybody today with my last day that this is not goodbye. This is definitely a see you later. I am just down the hill, and I'm sure I will be bugging you guys and coming to swim and all of those kinds of things with my family. So thank you guys again so much for the opportunity. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Kim, and she's going to present to you guys what Jill and I have kind of been talking about and what we've been planning, how things are going to look once we are on the kind of rounded the corner of COVID. And she's going to kind of walk through what that looks like. And yeah, but I can't say enough positive things about Kim, about you guys, about Jill. It's been such a great time having been with the district, and the flexibility that I've been afforded with the way that Jill has been so supportive in this weird time has been an absolute godsend. And I'm just so grateful, and have really enjoyed working with you guys. So thank you guys so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Kim, before we step to you, we have a member of the public with a hand raised. So I want to acknowledge that if this is the time they want to say something. I can't see a name there, so if you could introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, can you see me and hear me?
We can hear you, we cannot see you.
Okay, I don't know how come. This is Margaret Moore. How are you guys?
Hello, Margaret.
Hi, Margaret.
I don't know why you can't see me, but I'm sorry, Whitney, I just wanted to jump in and say, as a member of the public, I have enjoyed your work and seen what you've been doing from afar, and it has made a huge difference. From the newsletter to the website to the brochure that you just set out recently. It's so clear, it's so positive, and it's so upbeat, and I just hope that will continue because you've done a really great job of setting that tone. So I wanted to make sure that you got recognized for that from a member of the public who is not on the board.
Well, that means a lot. I appreciate that, Margaret. Thank you so much. And it will absolutely continue. I think Kim's going to do great, and our graphic designer is also wonderful to work with. And yeah, you guys are going to keep seeing great stuff come out of the district for sure.
And Margaret, knowing that you're a part of this,
Margaret, there you are.
You're on the panel now, so we should be able to see you. Good to see you again.
Hi, nice to see you. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened, but now I guess.
No, that's okay. Members of the public who come are attendees, and then panelists who participate on the board level are panelists, and we have the video. So that's what happened. All right. So now, Kim, we finally will hear from you. Take it away.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen.
Let me make you co-host. Hang on one sec.
I think it's letting me.
Is it letting you? Okay.
So let's see.
You're there, Kim.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that everybody could see and just adjust my screen to make sure that I was seeing what everybody else was seeing.
You got to just click back a couple times, though.
Yeah, and it cut the bottom off, Kim.
There you go.
Okay. I think this will be fine. I can adjust it, I think, if I need to. Hi, everyone. Let me start there. Hi. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about where we're at as far as the rec department is concerned, where we are planning to go as we move here into spring and into summer. And then I'll kind of hit what I think are the big points, and then we'll have time at the end for any questions or concerns, anything like that, to go over. If I don't touch on something, I'll be happy to answer questions at the end. So kind of just basic overview. I'm going to hit on annual passes, since that's something that's new for us this year, kind of a different format. And then our current and spring programming, we're kind of all meshed into that right now. Our plans for summer, and then how we see the rec department moving forward. as we go through summer into fall and into, the next year, as we move through COVID and just this time of different life and different participation from our community. So annual passes. This has been a labor of love for me. We have got some great, exciting things. Number one is that our annual passes are, in fact, a year long now, and they're from the date of purchase, which I think is new for our community. So somebody who purchases in July, their pass is good until the next July. So being able to have that flexible date for our community, I think will allow people to have more access to these annual passes in a way that fits their family, their lifestyle, and how they use our services. So that's one major thing. The other thing is we've got the ability for our community to purchase passes online. So everybody can, from comfort of their own home, they can log on, they can purchase all the family pass, individual pass, senior passes. It's a pretty flawless, I will not say flawless, let me try. It's a pretty, it is a pretty streamlined process. I've worked with RecTrack really closely for, it took us like 2 days of training to go through and get it set up in the way that benefits our community, and for it to be kind of a one-stop, easy click through for people to get to what they want and for it to be processed. And so that with our new pass modules, it also gives us the ability to track our participation. So people will be able to scan in at the lake, scan in at the pool. When they go to the lake, they can, say their reason for their visit. Are they walking the lake? Are they there to play disc golf? Are they there for a birthday party? So that way we can start generating some of this information to guide how we do things in the future and what our community is utilizing and not utilizing.
Wow.
Dr. Scobie's doing the happy dance.
So I'm really excited about that part of it. And then, so that's kind of the biggest part of our annual passes. The other part of that is, I know in the past, there's been a lot of printing of new passes, and every year people had to get a new card, and there was a lot of trying to figure out numbering systems. We were able to, they actually just went to print today. They're a key fob, so people can put them on their keys. And it has a barcode on it for them to be able to scan in. We also have the ability, if somebody forgets it, to just enter in by their last name. It'll pull it up in their system, in our system, for us to track their entry. They can also take a picture of it on their phone, and we can scan the picture on their phone for the barcode. So there's lots of different ways for people to be able to utilize these in a way that's convenient for them. And then the passes, their number doesn't change. So next year, so everybody who's buying them right now, when they go to renew, they don't need a new barcode. They don't need a new number. We don't have to give them a new pass unless they've lost it, they can't find it, any of those sorts of things. So that kind of allows people, they don't have to try to remember, is this year's pass, last year's pass, whatever. They've got one. If they keep it for 5 years, they keep it for 5 years. If they need a new one, then we'll go through the process of sending them out a new one. And there's lots of little extra things where, if you're a family of, Whitney's got her 2 kiddos and her husband, dad can take the kiddos and, put one into the pool and one into the gym for open gym basketball with just his pass. So the barcodes are kind of interchangeable and related strictly to the family. So they don't, families with little kids, they're not going to have 5 different passes that have to be scanned. So we've gotten a lot of flexibility that I think as we move forward, there's a lot of functionality that will allow us to do so much more for our customers, for our programs and all of that kind of stuff. So the great news is that so far, I think, so People just got the mailer, what, a week and a half ago? It hit mailboxes. So we've already sold a total of 38 passes. So we've sold 4 family passes, which are at least 4 people on a pass, 12 individual passes, 12 senior passes, and then we've had like 10 that have an additional family member that's been added onto their pass, whether that's a senior pass or in a family pass. And about a third of those have been done online. So no call in, they've completed it on their own and they're ready to go. And the great is that we can add, like for our lap swim, we have discounts for pass holders and our system knows it automatically. So anytime they register, it already knows you've got a pass, here's your discount. So some great things with that. And then I'm going to kind of lump in here because it kind of goes all together, but our recreation participant program grants. Whitney can kind of add in if she, because she's worked on some and I've received some, but we have seen really an uptick in people who are accessing these grants and being able to use them for our programs. And we've seen a lot that are using them for family passes. So that to me is an amazing thing. We've seen a lot since the mailer went out with the ad, you know, with the information letting them know that we have this available, which means that our community is seeing what we're sending and it's allowing more people to access our services, which to me is half the battle at least, right?
And I did want to add that on that, in this whole 18 months, I had seen maybe 2 or 3 requests for rec program grants. Granted, we haven't really had any programs running for the last 12 of those 18 months, but still a total of maybe 3. And last week I came into the office and there was 3 applications sitting on my desk. And this week there was another 3. I know Kim has seen other ones. So just in the last 2 weeks, we've already seen, I would say, close to 10 applications come through, which is so great that we have that little pot of money sitting there from the Band of Miwok Indians, as well as the Cameron Park Community Foundation, where we have that money to be able to supplement for those residents that need the assistance. And I'm so glad that we are doing that push communication wise. And now it's on, I think it's in 3 different spots on the website. And then it went out in the BE newsletter, it went out in the mailer. So we're kind of flooding the community with that info so that people that need it can find it easily and have access to those grants. So I'm sure that Kim will keep seeing them come trickle through, which is so great.
Yeah. All right. So current and spring programming. So currently we're in the red tier. What that means for us is the programs that we have been continuously running, like lap swim, our swim team practices, and private lessons can all continue, but it allows us to expand our capacity to do that. So that means swim teams can have increased numbers of swimmers in the water and on the deck at any given time. Our lap swimmers, they all tend to like their own lane, which we are perfectly happy with. But it would allow us, if more people wanted to share lanes, things of that nature, it would expand our capability to do that. Little League started this week on our fields. So we've been able to expand to allow that to happen for our community. And in this tier, they're also allowed to begin sort of scrimmaging gameplay type of stuff. So we've got some great things going on with that. Basketball, we were able to get our all net basketball back into the gym, having them do some basketball camps. So no gameplay yet with basketball, no scrimmaging. It's focused on skill building, conditioning, but we were able to get them in these small group camp format. So I know the kids have been really excited to be back. Coaches have been excited to be able to have that opportunity. So they're in as well. And then our private lesson program it's been available pretty much all year we saw kind of a decline in those colder months for obvious reasons. And we have that kind of moving up. We've seen a lot of interest in the last couple of weeks, a lot of people interested in scheduling for spring. So we've got our pool manager running the wait list and contacts and coordinating all of our private lessons. So that is, we have our spring break camp with Sterling Forbes, who I have not had a chance to meet yet, but we've had a lot of email communications as we've gone through this. And I know he's someone who has done camps for us in the past. So I think I think that's a great thing that we're gonna be able to offer here in the spring. We have our floating Easter egg hunt, which is actually this Saturday. So we've had good community interest on that. So I'm excited to be able to offer that for them. We have our pop-up Easter egg hunt this year. So with COVID, obviously we're not able to do some of the bigger events that we've done in the past. So we are going to do a pop-up Easter egg hunt where it's going to be more of like a scavenger hunt at a couple, several different parks. So a little bit different format, but able to get our community out there. They can find the eggs, and we're going to have a few special prizes at each of the locations for a little extra incentive. So I think it'll be fun. Our parks departments, we're partnering with them. They're going to help us get that all set up and all the eggs out there, and then our community can come and play at our parks and experience the day and do their egg hunts. And then we have Skyhawks Soccer Tots, which I know we've partnered with them in the past. And we're seeing a lot of interest in that, which has been, I don't know, surprising for me to see that already, even though Soccer Tots won't start until April, we've already got a lot of participants registered. So I think that that's something that is definitely showing that that's what our community wants. So it's something that's going to be high on my priority to watch that and be able to carry that through all of our seasons. And then the last one I wanted to kind of touch on is our drive-through senior resource fair. So this is something the CSD has not done before. We are partnering. I was approached by Eschaton Living Community. And so they are going to we're partnering together to create this new drive-through senior resource fair. We know that senior programming has been fairly minimal in this COVID world, obviously for safety reasons, for following state mandates and guidelines and all of those things. So this is a way for us to be able to connect with our seniors, to be able to get them resources and information for all the things that are available to them and the things that are coming up from a variety of agencies that are right here in our community. And then we kind of kept it as that drive-through format so that we can make it as accessible for our seniors as possible, whether that's, that they can't walk through or anything like that. So that's an exciting thing that'll be coming up. And then, yeah, and in our virtual rec, we have a great staff member who's going to be doing some free virtual rec programming that are going to be kind of our previews to summer day camp. So she's going to run some activities, and we're going to let our community kind of get a taste of what summer camp's going to be like, so that we can get our community back interested and involved with that.
Can you move the screen up? Oh, there you go. Thanks. Okay.
Okay, so summer, kind of the big thing that's looming over us, right? So day camp is going to look different this year with COVID guidelines and just kind of participation and how people are going to participate differently this year versus in previous years. Our day camp is going to be smaller than in previous years, but I think that this is our opportunity to show our community that we can do summer camp and we do this well. And so we're going to have 2 small cohorts that are going to go through rotations throughout the community center with various activities, games, skill building, team building, crafts, art, all of those fun things. They're going to they'll go swimming at our pool and be able to do that daily. And then we have the opportunity to be able to do this in like weekly as opposed to like 2-week sessions or anything like that. So we have really affordable rates for 1-week sessions to kind of hopefully give our community some flexibility in their participation. Aquatics. So this is my baby. So we've been working very hard and continue on with our lap swim. I'm sure most of you already know that our lap swim program has become really robust over this last year and been revitalized. And I put that on our amazing community who has believed in our programs, as well as our lifeguards who have really stepped up their professionalism, really stepped up their community engaging with our lap swimmers. And they've really been able to form this community of lap swimmers who come and swim. They all know each other. They know the lifeguards. And they've really developed a great relationship as opposed to just, these are swimmers who just come. So it's kind of been its own amazing thing to watch evolve. We're going to be able to bring back our recreation swim lessons, our exercise classes. And then all of this is kind of just following those COVID protocols as we move up or down. I don't know whether it's up or down. As we change tiers, we get less restrictive as far as how many people we can have in our aquatics facility at any one time. So that just allows us to have more people come and participate. The amazing thing for us is that we are an outdoor pool. And so we face less restrictions than some of the other indoor pools and things like that around us because we are outdoor. So that has definitely worked to our advantage over this last year. Our solar project, I just wanted to touch on this as we start this solar project and it goes through the summer. It's obviously going to be running at the same time that we try to do all of these summer recreation programs. So with that being the case, we're going to kind of hold off on expanding our programming at this time. We're going to focus on the immediate needs of our community, the things that they have really asked for, which is summer camp, aquatics programs, basketball camps, those types of things. And then once we're finished with the solar project, and hopefully by that time, we're also in less restrictive tiers, and then we can kind of move forward with that, which leads me to my next slide, which is our path forward. I know Jill and Whitney have done so many things, and I know those who have come before me, Hannah, in really turning the district around and putting it on a direction of finding what works for the district and being able to not just offer things, but making sure that what we offer and we do it well. So with that, kind of Jill and Whitney and I have all talked and kind of come to we're all on the same page of the path moving forward is going to be one of intention. And I think for me, I like to find a word that's going to help guide my decision making. So intention and intentionality, that's kind of going to be our rec department word. So as we move into less restrictive tiers, as we finish some of these improvement projects that we have going on, we're going to bring back classes in sort of that tiered and intentional approach. So we're going to begin with the classes that are the most popular: basketball leagues, futsal clinics, bringing back, making sure that our aquatics programs are continuing on, being able to continue to foster our lap swim program. And then we're going to take a look at what does our community want? What do they need? What do they want from us? And how can we provide that to them? And so we'll taking more of that intentional less is more. So as we roll programs out, instead of offering 50 programs, let's offer 20 that have full participation. Let's look at what does our community really want and be able to meet those needs. And that's kind of us in a nutshell. It's where we're going. If anybody has questions, I'm open to answering them. Discussion, let me know.
Thank you, Kimberly. Really appreciate that. Let's open up to board for questions and open up to the public after that. So board members, does anybody have questions for Kimberly and Whitney? Director Carlson, I'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. I really appreciate the plan to move with intention going forward. And it kind of, and I kind of appreciate the making a silver lining out of this COVID situation in the sense of stepping back to figure out what we want to do going forward, and even a silver lining for having construction going on in our parking area over the summer. So I really appreciate that. I'm just curious, when is the information up about the summer programs yet, or is that still pending?
So we have, as far as summer camp, we have sort of half of the information up there. So we've put on our website there our pricing information, as well as some general information. I've been working with one of our other rec leaders who has been with the district for a while on solidifying some of those summer camp themes and all of that. So I want to be able to put out the dates and the themes for each of the week to entice that participation. I want the kids to look at it and go, yeah, I want to do sports week, or, you know, I'm really into theater, so this week is going to be the week that I really want to be there. And be able to garner that and give them that information. So my hope, not my hope, but my plan is to have all of that up by the end of next week. Like I said, we've been working on it. I just, I hate putting up half information, but with us being in this transition with Whitney, and she has been our summer camp guru, so her being able to catch me up on how I can move forward with that, and then bringing in Clarence to help us with that as well, will be kind of where we go with that. So sooner rather than later, but I want to be able to give all of those enticing pieces of information out there so that people can start making those decisions.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And like other parents, I will be looking at that for sure. And at the same time, for my family, sometimes the dates, unfortunately, are more important, possibly because we're looking at other programs at other places, and we might just want to start kind of figuring out dates, regardless of what lovely, enticing theme it is. But I will take a look at the end of next week. So thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Bazette.
So Whitney, I'm amazing presentation. Thank you for the energy and the creativity. You know, I've been getting the passes for the season for Cameron Park Lake. So the annual pass is a kind of a new concept, and I think it's a good one because I have something like that for a ski pass. So, but my question is this: so do you get a discount, or does it cover the cost of lap swimming or a basketball league or something like that, or is there how does that work anyway?
Yeah, that is a great question. So we started out this year, since this is a new year that we're launching, this is the first time we're launching this annual pass. We have given, so for lap swim specifically, it takes a $2 discount off. So that makes the price $2 for residents, $3 for non-residents who happen to have an annual pass for their lap swim. It also takes $2 off of our fitness classes. Okay. So like our aqua body strong classes are more expensive per time drop-in rate than our lap swim. So it'll take $2 off of that. We also added the but the perk of 10% off of purchasing tickets to our special events. So we've had pool special events and it will, so they get 10% off of that. It allows them access to our pool for free. So anytime they want to come for our recreation swim specifically, they have access to that for free during that time. And so we wanted to kind of start small with the perks as opposed to, doing all these different types of discounts. As we build our programming and we see, where our community is utilizing their passes, then we can look at what other kind of perks and benefits can we give our community who purchase these passes. So are we, do we have a lot of people who purchase annual passes and then also rent the gazebo or the picnic tables at the lake? Then that's going to be something that we look at providing those perks. As we're able to do more special events, we can look at the possibility of having a special pass holder only type of special event. So we kind of have the sky's the limit on the perks that we can add from year to year. And this year, like I said, we just tried to kind of keep it small and concise as we roll out this new program and see how our community responds to it.
I think it's a real smart marketing approach. I really do. Very, very well thought through.
Thanks.
Dr.
That's
Scove,
Jill,
next
though,
you got hand.
not me.
You have a question?
Yes, I do. First, I want to welcome you, Kim. Looking forward to working with you and finding out what your plans are and all that good stuff. And I had a couple of questions. You mentioned that there's going to be the ability for residents to scan their passes.
Mhm.
So is there a new equipment? Is there new equipment going to be installed so that people can scan their passes, or is it manual, or how does the actual scanning work?
Yeah, I can totally talk about that. So we started with just purchasing, it's just a barcode scanner, looks like a little box like this. It has the capability for us to run it through Bluetooth and or hooking it directly to our like tablets or iPads. So for this year, we decided to just purchase one for the lake. Since all the aquatic stuff is pre-registration anyway, we'll already be collecting that data by the pre-registration. So it's actually connected right into our rec track system. So they'll drive up to the kiosk, they'll scan either the photo or the actual key fob barcode, and it will instantly, it actually makes like a sound to say, yep, that's a valid pass, or nope, that's not a valid pass. And it records the attendance that person scanned in. So at the end of the day or the end of the week, whatever, we can pull those reports and see who scanned in at the lake on what day, at what time. And we can add the ability for them to say why they were there. So then we would have that information as well. So, Whitney went to go walk at the lake and she brought her whole family, but I went to go play disc golf. She went on Saturday, I went on Sunday, and we can get all that information. Our plan is to, as we expand these programs, be able to have those scanners at the community center and then also at the pool.
So like when you're scanning your pass and you're a disc golfer or a walker or whatever you're doing there, playground, pickleball, whatever, how are they going to, how is me as a pass holder going to enter that information and tell you, the district, what I'm doing?
So as it goes this year, it'll just be a prompt that our kiosk worker will just interact with that customer. So the customer will scan it or will scan their phone, and the customer will say, what's your reason for visiting today? As we move into maybe a less COVID time where we're not concerned about wiping down the tablet or the pad every time somebody came through, then that would just be, it is within RecTrack and it just pops right up and it tells them right after they scan it, it'll have specific reasons and they can just click it and it moves right along.
Okay, that's great. I have a few more questions. Let's see. You talk about using the website. Does the rec department actually oversee the website?
Mhm.
Yeah? Okay. And then, do you guys need the Easter bunny?
Yes.
Yes.
That's so funny. I was texting Jill. Jill, like, did we ask Monique to be the bunny again? And I was like, I forgot. So Monique is a killer Easter bunny. And I think it would be so fun for you to just like pop up at some of those parks that they're going to be in eggs. And that would be so cute.
Okay, that would be great. I would love to sign up for the Easter bunny.
Yay. Okay. I will reach out to you, or Jill can tell me how just to coordinate so I can give you all the information tomorrow or next week.
I'll wear my Fitbit and see if I can get 5 miles.
Monique, you might forever now be known as Director Scobunny.
Thank you, Kim. That's all I had.
Of course. Thank you.
I have Director Wooten. Do you have any questions or any comments at this point? Okay, I see you shaking your head there. A few questions that I have. Talking about the annual pass is part of the, I know this is the first rollout, is part of the plan then to create automatic reminders, because now we'll have a better record of who has them. That'll just go straight to them a month or two ahead. Hey, renewal's coming up. 10% discount if you renew before, blah, blah, blah. That kind of thing.
Yeah. So so we actually purchased a pass module for our rec track system. So what that does is that allows us to send those reminders. The system will automatically prompt them ahead of time. Hey, your renewal is coming up. They'll be able to search for that within their system as well. And then, sorry, I'm like getting echo back.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out.
So they'll be able to search and see like when exactly their renewal is coming up. It'll be in their purchase history in their cart. We'll be able to send reminders. The system will automatically send reminders, and it will automatically prompt for renewal.
Great.
If they haven't renewed, but then they go to register for a program. So if their pass expires in May, and then they try to come to recreation swim in June, it'll prompt them and say, hey, you had a pass last year. Do you want to renew it before you pay for this rec swim? Or do you want to renew it before you do this program? So it'll be tied to other programs to prompt that as well.
Spectacular. Love the sound of that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Question on the grant program. Remind us, and so my fellow directors remember, how the regularity of funding for this, how this goes, how this gets funded.
I'm gonna pass that off to Whitney. Hey, Whit, can you unmute yourself? And I know
Yeah.
a little bit, but I don't want to speak out of turn. So
I started talking before I realized I was muted. Sorry. Yes. So when I started, there's already this pot of money, upwards of around $10,000 to $12,000.
Yeah. I think we're losing her.
you're stuck, Whitney, if you can hear us.
Nothing like a frozen screen. I think that was part
Let
of
me, while she unsticks herself, in addition to that set aside of money, we also had contribution, I think it was $3,000 from the tribe, and then $3,000 from the Cameron Park Community Foundation that we were working on. So
Back, Whitney.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't realize it. I was just talking, but yeah, sounds like they'll caught you guys up to speed. And I think you guys are good,
Yeah.
unless you have more questions.
No, the only comment in that then becomes, I always like to think of these in both directions. There might be people in our community who also want to help with that kind of thing. So perhaps part of our marketing and branding in that is, hey, this grant is available. And if you want to contribute and help families in our community be able to make themselves available, to use our facilities and all that, contact us. Because I know of at least a few folks who would love to help families in the community be able to use passes and swimming and all that, would throw in a little money on that. So maybe add that to our marketing.
Yes. And I think that's actually something that I looked at doing pre-COVID, was working with RecTrack to add. I worked at an agency years ago when I was in college, where every time we had a very robust scholarship program, and every time someone would check out, either in person or online, you would say, it would prompt you, kind of like when you're at Safeway and it's like, do you want to donate $1 to whatever? It would be the same for the scholarship program. So I was trying to work with RecTrack to have them do that, where like, you can add $1 on every single transaction, because all that definitely adds up. So that's kind of one of my little notes for Kim as I was prepping stuff, that we definitely want to look into that, doing that again. But I like your idea of expanding it further, because there's plenty of people that are able to donate more than $1 here and $1 there. So
Right.
That's a really good idea to expand it even further.
Yeah, and I think you might get more bang for the buck that route with targeted.
Yeah.
Definitely. You hit one of my other questions in terms of the egg hunts. I don't know if you put out a call if there's volunteers needed to help, if there's people in our community who want to join in. I know you've got a bunny in waiting. But if that's also part, because I hadn't seen that, if that's part of our messaging too, if people want to volunteer.
So this year, with the way that we're doing it, I didn't advertise for volunteers. Our park staff is really excited to be part of this. They've got their own ideas about where things can be hidden and how it can go.
Oh, I can imagine.
So they're all like really on board with it. So and just the way that we're doing it this year, it's fairly not labor intensive. So in our efforts to provide it as a free opportunity to our community, but also not have to worry about mass gatherings and COVID protocols and some of those things. By just making it a free flow event, it decreased obviously our need for volunteers.
And I know we have to be careful with that kind of thing right now anyway. So
yeah, but that is on my radar of things as we begin to open, as we begin to bring back programs and events, is being able to build that volunteer base for us, and make those community partnerships with other businesses, community members, and things that are interested, and being able to tie people to their interests to our events, and be able to create all of these community ties and community bonds as we go through.
And to that end, I want to say, yes, thank you for that. The senior resource fair, the drive-through. That's just a part of our community I've been thinking a lot about, and grateful for any steps forward we can take. I know we're constrained, period, but any opportunity for that is good. And then one last piece in that, I just want to recognize and thank you that even though we're still limited because of COVID restrictions, even as we move from tier to tier, and then with the solar project, we're still going to have a robust programming through the summer. Our facility is still going to be used, our gym's still going to be used, or all of that. So I'm just so pleased to see progress. This is great. So thank you for that. All right. Knowing that our board has asked for questions, I'll open it up to the public. If there's anybody in the public who wants to raise their hand with a comment or question for our staff, before we bring that back around. Okay, seeing none, I'll bring this back. Is there anything else in the presentation? Then we've asked our questions. You've given us some good information here. Anything else? Kim, Whitney, Jill?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Wonderfully done. Wonderfully done. A lot of good information, and we're looking forward to seeing how this rolls out. So keep us updated.
Of course, thank you.
And last time, Whitney, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you guys again. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, it's just a see you later. I'm sure I'll see you guys all around. And best of luck to all of you and all the wonderful things that the rec department has coming on board over the next few months.
Thank you. Of course, you're always welcome to stay for the meeting. But we recognize,
St. Patrick's Day. I've got a drink waiting
Recognize-
for me.
now. So with that, thank you for taking the time with us to help tonight. Appreciate it very much.
Of course.
Appreciate it very much.
Thanks, you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, that was really good. That was a nice presentation to get us going for the summer. Feel well informed. We can spread that around the community. Thank you. All right, let's move to our next part of the agenda as our open forum for non-agenda items. This is the point where members of the public can speak on any item not on the agenda that falls within the jurisdiction of the board of directors. So we'll open the open forum. If any members of the public would like to raise their hand or call on them, they can speak. I see a hand. I see a couple hands. First hand would be Barbara. So Alyssa, if you can unmute her.
Go ahead, Barbara. You're muted though. There you go.
Hi there. Well, that was a great presentation, by the way. Great job, girls. I spoke to Eric earlier, well, tried to speak to him. We couldn't connect. I meant to get a hold of Jill today. I'm speaking on behalf of the senior group that meets in the room. They, for whatever reason, don't want to speak for themselves. So I'm kind of just relaying a message. They'd like to know why they cannot utilize that room if everybody were vaccinated. And I know it's a difficult situation. I did hear Eric's message back to me today. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is to reach out to these people, please. Bill Carey and his group, Jill, and please explain to them what is going on. These people have been isolated for over a year now. And I'm going to tell you, I may be 72, but I think I'm a young 72. But my other half is 85. And as you all know, I still work 30, 32 hours a week. I can tell you what the isolation of COVID has done to him. And it's not always a happy thing to see. So please reach out to these people, let them know what's going on. And, you know, so they can understand that your hands are tied. I don't understand why they won't reach out for themselves. So anyway, I promised I would do this tonight. So that is my request, Jill and Eric and board. And the one thing I would like to see you all do as we do move forward through this, we need to do more for our senior community. I don't think we've done ever enough for them. And not putting the blame on this current administration. But in the beginning, when that center was first in the planning stages, the focus was to be on the seniors. And of course, that did not materialize. So, you know, let's reach out to these people and let them know why they cannot come back into the center at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Appreciate hearing from you. All right, we have a second hand raised. I think the name on there is Dawn. You can unmute her, Alyssa.
Yeah, trying to unmute here. Hi, my name's Dawn Wolfson, and this is my first meeting. I've been kind of planning to come for years, and I finally got off my duff.
Well, welcome, Dawn.
That was a very nice presentation. I just thought I'd ask about something that's been on my mind for a while, and I don't know if you've ever discussed it or what, but I live on Cambridge, right at the stop sign at Sterling, and you know, Cambridge is residential and the speed limit is 35, and I'm just curious because people blow through those stop signs at night, and you know, it's dangerous, and I'm just curious if there's been conversation around the speed on Cambridge and what could be done to mitigate it, I guess.
And what, just so you know, Dawn, the way we do this is you get about 3 minutes to speak. So we try to wait until you have all your questions and then we answer them. And if we need to do a little back and forth, we do that. Just don't want to take your time with our response.
Okay, well, yeah, that was pretty much it for now.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I can give you initial answer, and I know the general manager can fill some of that in. Signs and roads and speed are not part of the CSD's jurisdiction. That is a county piece as well as the sheriff's office. It would be really nice if there's something we could do easily locally, but unfortunately, that's just something out of our hands, beyond just being good neighbors and messaging folks with that. So my first word would be to direct you to the county for that. And I know they do pay attention when there are intersections or locations where there's high incidences of accidents or incidents, to try and take steps to mitigate that. General Manager, I think you can maybe fill in a little more on that.
Yeah, the county, Don, if you want to reach out to me, and I'm listed on the website, or just call our main office and we can talk a little bit more. But the county does have a traffic advisory committee that I can put you in touch with.
Director Bazette, yes.
Yes, I lived many years on the 3000 area on the lake in Cambridge, and we had CHP. We would call them occasionally, and they were very helpful and cooperative. So they could be, that would be a resource to, and they're very happy to do that. They really are, and and I think it really does make a difference. If you tell them where the area of concern is, they will be there.
Yeah. And I've seen that happen in different spots. They did some of that on Cameron Park Drive a number of years ago. Actually, evening times they would have a checkpoint through there when there were some problems happening. So that was good. Director Wooten. Just need you to unmute there, Director Wooten. Can't quite hear you yet. Can't hear you. You are muted. Which is unusual.
There you go,
Okay,
Ellie.
you're there.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Sheriff DeAugustini is very, very good with that. And you can even call his office, which I have done several times for different people. And he shows up. He's the best one to contact, I believe.
Great. Thank you. All right. And I don't know, Dawn, if that answered all your questions. If you raise your hand, if you have some more, or if that takes care of it. Okay, not seeing a hand. I think we're okay. Any other? Oh, there we go, Dawn. Did you have another question or comment there?
It went down.
Okay, great. All right, we're still in open forum. Any other? We have one more member of the public. Any more comments or questions for the board in open forum? Okay, seeing none, we will close open forum. And now we will move to the approval of the consent agenda. I would like to start with asking to pull item number 8, put that into general business, please. Do we have any other comments, questions, or motions from the board?
And is this from 4 to 13 or 4 to 8?
This is 4 to 8, just the consent
Alrighty.
list.
Thank you.
Anything else from our board?
Yeah, this is Felicity. I move to approve the consent agenda, provided that we remove item 8 for discussion to item 9.
I second.
You have a second? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. General Manager, would you do a roll call for that, please?
Director Easton,
Aye.
Director Carlson,
Aye.
Director Bazette. Director Bazette.
Oh, am I muted?
No,
Nope,
you're not. Just say
Okay.
yes. If you want to say yes.
Got a thumbs up there.
Okay. Director Scobie
Aye.
and Director Wooten.
Aye.
Wonderful. Okay, we have approved the consent agenda with the removal of.
Hi, Scobie.
So we will now move to general business. I'll start with item 9, items removed from the consent agenda for discussion. We have removed item number 8, so let's begin with that. Okay, General Manager, if you could give us just a brief explanation on that. And
So this starts the process and asks the tax collector county to collect a special assessment for the CCNR office. As you all know, that assessment on each parcel is $12. There is no escalator on that assessment. So each year our budget gets a little bit tighter and tighter, so that's kind of what it is. But this and the LLADs, this is the first in a series of resolutions that you'll see so that the county can start assessing those taxes.
And I'll just comment on that was the reason that I pulled this. I just want to highlight the fact for the board that if you'll read that first line in this description, in 1985, AB 1350 was passed. That's when the assessment for this was set. That is about 36 years ago by my math, and has not changed from $12 since. So I just want to take the opportunity to highlight that in a community that's increasing and the CCRs are increasing and costs are increasing, and at some point something needs to be done about that. So I just want to make sure that we as a board recognize that and bring it forward. That was my purpose in doing it. Any other comments or questions from our board?
No.
Yeah, this is Felicity. I know that Monique got excited earlier about bubble flow charts and stuff, but I can't help myself. I have to do a quick calculation here. $12 times, I don't know if I'm doing this right or not. No, I think $12 might be worth $17 today. I'll come back. I'm not going to do this live. I'm not going to try to do percentages and math and inflation, but I agree. I think that this is something really important for us to think about. 1985, in 1985, $100, according to an internet search, today would be worth about $247. So it's definitely, that $12 is definitely going a lot shorter than it did in 1985. So I think this is something I
But they
did not
didn't have
see you
the
there.
COVID in 1985 either.
Yep, that's true. Anyway, that's my only comment, is that I agree. This is this is $12 is a lot less than it used to be.
All right, any other comments or questions from the board before I put it out to the public?
It seemed like in the general manager's interview with the Mountain Democrat, I think she referenced that, didn't you, Jill? Yeah, I just think we have to keep referencing this when and wherever we can. Just that this really stands out. There's almost a level of absurdity to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how we do that, but that is my thought process, that we need to constantly remind this is, before we can change it, we have to bring awareness of this, how little that is to cover those costs.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments from our board? Okay. Seeing none, I'll open this to the public. Any member of our public have comments or questions that they want to insert here?
No hands.
Okay. Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board. And as this was an adoption agenda item, we pulled this out, or a consent agenda item, sorry, we pulled this out. So this was a recommended action of receive, discuss, and adopt resolution with a board poll vote. So unless there's any other questions or comments on this, do I have a motion on this resolution?
This is Felicity. I move to approve this resolution number 2021-08, directing the auditor of El Dorado County to levy and collect assessments for the fiscal year 2021-22.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. General Manager, would you do roll call, please?
Director Easton?
Aye.
Director Carlson?
Aye.
Director Bazette?
Aye.
Director Scobie? You're
Aye.
muted. There you go. And Director Wooten?
Aye.
Okay. Well, the board has voted 5-0 to adopt this resolution. Wonderful. Thank you for your help, everyone. All right, we'll move on to item number 10. This is to recommendation to approve proclamation March is American Red Cross Month. And we have a couple of special guests. So General Manager, would you please introduce?
We have Gary. And Gary, you're going to have to do more introductions because I'm not sure that I know your title. But I welcome Gary tonight and also Margaret Moore, past board member, to talk about March is American Red Cross Month.
All right, so can you hear me?
Yep.
Very good. Okay, yes, my name is Gary Strong and I am the CEO of the California Gold Country region of the American Red Cross, which covers the territory of 26 counties from Tuolumne up to the Oregon border, across to the ocean and across to Nevada. A lot of our area are foothill areas, such as those that surround Cameron Park. And we're really happy to be able to serve those communities. They're beautiful communities, largely because of the forested areas that have actually started to get closer and closer to where inhabitants are. And when you have these beautiful forested areas, periodically there will be wildfires, and the Red Cross is there for people who have to be evacuated from those wildfires. It's happened in the past. We know it'll happen in the future, but we're just glad to be able to do that work, as well as other work that others don't know about all the time, which includes home fires. An individual home fire happens, the Red Cross is there to help. We do service to the armed forces. So we're with service members from the time they enlist until they have their final taps. We're providing services for them. So we're always happy to provide those services, and we certainly appreciate that the board here has recognized March as Red Cross Month, something that's done nationally for over 80 years now. It's just a time to reflect on the service that we provide. So I want to thank you all for that. And I'll turn it over now to one of our favorite people, a board member of ours and former board member with you, Margaret Moore.
Hello, all. I don't know if I can see, you can see me. Can you hear me and see me?
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for this proclamation and for all the work that the American Red Cross does. And I know, and Gary, you know that that Cameron Park CSD has also been a disaster relief center in the past, and they will continue for the future for Cameron Park and the whole El Dorado County area. And that's what's really important about this proclamation and the recognition that the Red Cross gets. So thank you, board members, and then people of the public who will recognize the Red Cross for March month. And there's a lot of activities going on, so go to redcross.org and you can see what's going on, that you can support the Red Cross in many different ways, whether you volunteer or just do donations. So thank you. Nice to see everybody.
Thank you, Bill, Margaret, and Gary. Really appreciate you being here tonight. This is so important, and it's a privilege to do this. Our community has a heightened awareness of the need for help and support like this. Do we have any other comments from our board before we move forward with this?
This Felicity Carlson, thank you so much, Mr. Strong and Margaret, for this really, really important work that Red Cross does. And fingers crossed we don't need it as a community ourselves, but I'm so glad that we can be part of this and supporting Red Cross.
Yes. Any other comments from our board before I open it up to the public for comment? Director Bazette.
Yes, Mr. Strong, where are you folks located? Are you up in Placerville, or where? I'm just trying to visually imagine where your building is.
Yeah, so our main building is actually our headquarters in Sacramento, which is right across from Cal Expo. But we like to say that a building isn't the Red Cross, that we are where there is the need. So a lot of times it's our windshield of our car is our building, because we need to be there where people need us to be.
So you don't have a physical presence in El Dorado County. It's just you come up here as we need you.
Right, no brick and mortar. However, we do have volunteers that are throughout the community. We have local volunteers in El Dorado Hills and in all of the counties, because that's the only way we can serve people, by having, some 2,000 volunteers throughout our region and have them based locally where the need is.
And if someone's interested in becoming a volunteer, how do they go about doing that here locally?
Yeah, the best way is to go to redcross.org/Gold Country, and you can find a volunteer link there. Or you can always reach out to Margaret because she is definitely connected.
Okay, thank you.
We know how to get a hold of her.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But there's no place closer to us that there's Red Cross.
There is no formal brick and mortar permanent building that's closer to you. However,
About a tent.
as we do have these volunteers though that are spread throughout the community, they do gather and they will use locations such as often the El Dorado Hills fire department will be a location where they might gather to have meetings. So there are ways for people to get together locally and help out.
It's also kind of amazing how the volunteers have also gone virtual. For the disaster relief during the Northern California fires in El Dorado County, volunteers were on 8 hours a day helping to facilitate the disaster relief all over Northern California. So it's amazing how the network is, it's just great to see how it works and how effective it is. And then volunteers from El Dorado County went to Placer County and helped serve meals for those who were displaced up in Northern California and had to come down to the result area. So that's why the Gold Country region is really one big region that helps out needs everywhere. So people will go everywhere, help everyone out.
Thank you.
Hope that's that.
All right, I'll go ahead and, unless there's any other comments from the board, open it up to public for any comments or questions. So I'll remind the members of our public, if you want to raise your hand and contribute, now would be a great time.
No hands.
Okay, we'll close the public part there, and we'll bring it back to the board. And this is a proclamation. This is important, and forgive me, I feel like in these situations, these are worth being said out loud. So correct me if I'm wrong, General Manager, we can read the proclamation and then the board votes to pass and adopt this. Is that correct?
Sure.
Okay, so I will take the privilege because I'm really excited about this.
Before you read,
Yes.
Eric, I'd like to make a comment on, are you reading the entire proclamation?
I was planning to.
Okay, I was going to make a suggestion that, just to make it more clear, that the fourth whereas says since January 2020, local volunteers, if that just said local Red Cross volunteers, because I got a little confused when I read this. I'm like, these are Cameron Park volunteers? So it's pretty much all of, I think it'd be more accurate to say Red Cross volunteers, like in the third whereas.
Or PG.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say volunteers. Yeah. The third whereas says Red Cross volunteers. And I just think that would be clear, more clear if we said Red Cross local or something like that.
Okay.
That's what my comment.
Oh, I'm going to stand up while you're saying that. Excuse me.
Any other comments before we move to the reading and vote? Thank you, Director Scobie. Okay. So with your permission, General Manager, I will add that to the reading and we can vote to pass it with such amendment. Okay. So this is the proclamation of the Board of Directors of the Cameron Park Community Services District, March 17, 2021. Whereas March is American Red Cross Month, a special time to honor the kindness of our neighbors who aid families in need every day in our community across the United States and around the world. And whereas Cameron Park Community Services District maintains a relationship with El Dorado County and PG&E to serve as a community resource or evacuation center for families displaced by a local disaster such as a wildfire. And whereas in the past year especially, Red Cross volunteers helped others in many, many ways, responding in record-breaking disasters, rolling up their sleeves to give blood, and rendering aid to individuals and families suffering from the effects of COVID-19. And whereas since January 2020, local Red Cross volunteers supported families affected by 500 home fires, helped 1,983 individuals address urgent needs like food, lodging, and recovery support, hosted more than 300 regional blood drives, collecting 5,785 units of life-saving blood, provided emergency services for 2,118 individuals through our Service to the Armed Forces program, and enrolled 16,329 individuals in first aid, CPR, and AED treatment. Wow. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Directors of the Cameron Park Community Services District proclaim March as Red Cross Month. And we will read the passed and adopted as we do just that. Do I have a motion from a member of the board?
And so move that we approve this proclamation.
I would
I'll
like to
second the motion.
see if he could amend that motion to add the Red Cross local volunteers or in the,
Okay, I move that the proclamation be approved with the amendment reflecting the Red Cross volunteers.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, roll call, please.
Director Easton,
Aye.
Director Carlson,
Aye.
Director Bazette,
Aye.
Director Scobie,
aye.
Director Wooten.
Aye.
Okay, so we will say this is passed and adopted by the Board of Directors of the Cameron Park Community Service District at a regularly scheduled meeting held on the 17th day of March 2021 by a 5-0 vote of the board. Thank you, everyone, and thank you again, Gary and Margaret, for being with us tonight. People pay attention when they need something. I'm grateful that we get to do that
True.
when that's not the case. We're grateful for you and grateful for the chance to say it.
Thank
you so
you
much.
for that. Thank you.
Thank you. And as always, you're all welcome to stay for the whole evening. Recognize if you've got other things to do. Good to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, thanks. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Mar.
Bye. Bye, you guys.
Bye-bye. Good to see you. All right, let's move on to general business item 11. This is approved resolution 2021-09, agreement between ARC Alternatives and Cameron Park Community Services District, and budget allocation of $36,000 for fiscal year 2020-21. General Manager.
Yes, so just a month ago, the Board of Directors approved moving forward with a power purchase agreement with Brighton Energies, and we have already started on that. So our Brighton, ARC Alternatives, and district staff with ARC taking the lead, we have started pre-construction meetings on a weekly basis. We are anticipating construction this summer. So we are moving very quickly through this process. Staff is recommending that we continue a relationship and an agreement with ARC Alternatives so that they see us through preparing for construction, see us through to the end of construction and the activation of the system. ARC Alternatives, Nico is here with us tonight. They have truly been the solar expert that is advocating on the district's behalf. They're really protecting our interest in this project. Nico and Russell were very much a part of the negotiations of the power purchase agreement, and there were changes to the PPA based on the information and the advocacy that they did during those meetings about the PPA. So they have already, certainly benefited the district with their involvement, and we just feel that they would ensure a successful project as far as in terms of timing, and also for the project to be built as has been specified and committed to. I think also working this quickly, and then also truly working in the community center parking lot, and also at Station 89, we're really going to be in a fishbowl, and we're really going to be impacting stuff, impacting our residents and the people that come here. And so I think it's really important that this project stays on track. So With that, I asked Nico to come tonight. He'll give you a brief overview of their tasks, and then we can open it up for questions.
All righty. Good to see you all again. Thanks for having us here to consider the services that we put forward to you. And I want to start off by saying, we're happy to be providing whatever support works best for the district. And I'm here tonight to explain a little bit more about what we have proposed and why we think it's a value for clients. And it's similar to services we've provided for a lot of systems up and down the state for clients, both big and small. So we do have a power purchase agreement with Brighton. They are responsible for the design, construction, commissioning, installation of the system. They are the owner of the system. The Cameron Park Community Service District at one point might like to be the owner of the system as well. And so it's important to take these projects as a PPA where you think you might buy it at some point and make sure that the system is built, installed, and operated in a way that you feel comfortable that you'd have a valuable asset to purchase in the future. So some of the things that we propose, like testing and commissioning review and making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do that's in their scope, is in your interest to make sure that that asset that's on your property that's not currently yours, that one day you might like to have be yours, is designed and off on the good foot. So this project is a financial decision that the Community Services District has made. And in order for that financial decision to come to fruition and the numbers that we've ballparked here, everything needs to be installed and operated properly. So as part of that, as Jill had mentioned, we are facilitating weekly meetings. We run the agenda and the topics for those meetings. We're pretty familiar in the cadence of these projects and what needs to happen schedule-wise. We're very versed in making sure that the district's interests are protected every step along the way. Solar vendors tend to try to get in front of themselves a bit, and it might not necessarily be in your best interest. So we're facilitating the design process up front here. Brighton's working quickly to get plans into permitting. We're managing the design review process. We'll be looking at all plan sets on behalf of the district and making comments in coordination with Jill and your staff to make sure that everything's addressed to your satisfaction. We then provide technical oversight once Brighton gets into construction. Leading up to construction too, we'll make sure that pre-construction plans are in accordance with the district and the fire department. I've personally done systems at fire stations before and understand communicating with site level individuals and operations to make sure that things aren't impacted. We're involved with the project with the West Sacramento Fire District and a firehouse with an array similar to Fire Station 89 here. So familiar with that communication, and we kick off construction in a methodical manner. During construction, we're not construction managers, so someone from ARC isn't going to be there every day on the field writing daily logs and update reports, but we do know what to look for at a high level and when to come out and visit during construction to make sure that items that aren't typically addressed on plan sets are installed in a way that works for the district for the future and is safe for the vendor as well. A quick example of that is under canopy wiring. So if you ever parked under one of these structures before, when you're under a solar panel, you can see all of the wires that come off the module. That's not always identified on the plan on how you're actually going to route that, string it up, and wrap it up underneath the purlins there. So we come out before the project is fully installed and before all the wiring's done to make sure that the method makes sense and it's not going to droop down in a year and it looks clean and it's a manner that the district will approve of. So we provide that kind of high level technical oversight during construction and help coordinate things at the site level. But again, we're not construction managers, and Brighton will have a construction manager out there. As I mentioned, reviewing system testing and performance management, that's making sure that Brighton is commissioning the system and testing it to make sure that it's actually operational. So when they call it commercially operational and they're going to start billing you for the electricity, that system is actually generating the amount of electricity that we all signed up for in that agreement there. And so part of that is a system production assessment report where after the system's been running for a specified time, usually about 30 days, our engineers will actually go back and verify the performance of it based on the real world weather data that's experienced out there. That's not something that all the vendors do themselves, and it does help to have third-party oversight during that part, so you know that the numbers are what they should be. Then we also have support there for project closeout and on-call engineering as needed. At the end of these projects, they're still wrapping up and then providing you as-builts and closing things out with the county. So we find that there's always a need to be involved at the end. That was a lot of words, so I'm happy to answer questions and talk more if there's specific questions about the scope, but I wanted you to give everyone to get a pretty good overview of what we proposed here.
Okay, do we have any questions from the board? Director Bezet.
Yes, I have 3 questions. I read the closeout description. Could you maybe give us a little more specific examples? And is the closeout when it's becoming operational, or is there a closeout further down the line? What does that really mean?
Yeah, and that's a good question about the distinction. I can't even talk at the end of the day here. The distinction about if it's when the project's online or further on down the line or further on down the road. And so as the project is commissioned and PG&E gives it permission to operate, that's when it comes online commercially and you can be charged for the electricity. Right. At the end of all that, there's still closeout from doing this project with the district. The district's going to want to make sure that we have accurate as-builts and plans that fully reflect what was built, that the project is closed out with permitting and any special inspections and testing that needed to happen as well, and that it's clean on the district's books and is ready to be in the operational phase where you receive a bill monthly.
How far out is that other part, would you say? Like a year, 6 months?
It should be faster than that. So if we walk through the timeline at a high level, if they're going to install these systems this summer, depending on what happens with wildfire season again, if they're requesting permission to operate from PG&E, if it happens to be dead in the middle of fire season, it can be delayed. But the system should be online and operational early fall. That's okay. A completely realistic
your participation with the closeout would be about that time or shortly thereafter?
Yeah, through the end of that. That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So once that system's brought online, and I guess there is some overlap, the system needs to be brought online with PG&E for it to run fully. And so that's when we do the proving period analysis. And during that time, the project starts to be closed out. And one of the final steps of the closeout is that validation of the proving period report. In this case, there's no payment that you make to the vendor because you're not buying the system. It's just after that date, you'll start purchasing electricity.
Okay. And then secondly, I happen to be a strong advocate of posting signs to educate people about what's going on. And we have a major project in Canbark Lake, and we're doing something there. Is that something you or the contractor could basically have some description or pictorial depiction of the project, and then an expected date when it would be operational?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I believe Jill brought that up in the weekly meeting this week. And so we've helped a lot of clients and a lot of public sector clients too with the public facing component of this. So we've developed what we call a solar fact sheet, where it's going to provide the high level layout and the piece of information that we find the public needs to know or is helpful to know, including how much electricity is it going to produce, what does that translate to in terms of like equivalent number of homes that are powered, when is the major construction going to take place, and where is it going to go into the parking lot. So we're already working on putting together the draft of that for both sites.
Okay, so maybe it's something in detail and something just a posting of some sort of visual sign or something like that, the entrance to the fire station or the CSD. Okay.
Yep. And we've seen in the past that fact sheet can be actually printed, blown up, and used directly for that communication purpose.
Excellent, because people are going to want to know, and I think we're doing some good things, and we want to get that out there. And my last question is, I read all the specs, and I didn't see how many parkings in one of the parking spots. How many parking spots are we gaining or losing, or what does that look like for both the CSD and the fire station?
Yeah, so the number of parking spots is going to stay the same. So you won't
be under the structure and there's nothing really lost.
That's right. And we haven't seen the detailed designs yet, but that you just brought up an important issue and something that we look out for. If they're proposing to put any piece of equipment in a parking spot, we want to know that right now and be able to communicate that you may lose a spot. What we've seen so far is that there's going to be no equipment in parking spots, and there's just going to be a restriping of ADA accessible stalls under one of the Raise the Community Center.
Okay, we have limited parking at both places, so that's important. Thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you, Director Bezet. And yeah, I'll echo that, because one of the pieces here, both to see what people's coming and prepare them so that before the construction starts, even a couple, 3 weeks, whatever out, they're getting ready for that. I really appreciate that. Any other comments, questions from the board? Director Scobie.
Thank you, Nico, for coming tonight. I'm probably the one responsible, and I'm really responsible for you coming because this was important to me. The reason why it's important to me is because Brighton was also interviewed for the same task that ARC is providing us. And they're now the builder. And so if they have the same technical capability to oversee the project that such as ARC, it was important to me to understand that we're not paying a duplicate fee. So I really appreciate you speaking to that. And so now my focus has shifted in that I'm convinced that a third party overseeing the project has value. However, given that Brighton should be a qualified builder, I would like to think that they would be taking a better job and would require less oversight. And should this actually, come to fruition that they don't need a lot of oversight and things are humming along smoothly and you don't need as many hours as are in the contract, we will be being billed what is needed, not the full amount of the contract if it's not needed.
Yeah, so if our level of effort needs to be scaled down and we see there's things that are, just flat out not needed on that scope, we won't bill you for it. I do just want to speak to the point you brought up about Brighton being qualified and capable of doing all this. We work with a lot of solar companies that are bigger, larger, should be more qualified, and the client still benefits from a third party overseeing the process. Just because someone does have experience or has the team to do this doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to always do it in a way that works best for the client. So the third party oversight there is still necessary. You could let Brighton run with it and do as best of a job as you think they're going to do. But in my personal experience working on a lot of these projects through the years, one change order or one difference in the contract price, especially with a PPA that's going to be paid over 25 years, can make our scope look small in comparison. And a lot of times I've been the one personally standing up for the client and defending those changes and making them not happen because they don't have to. So I just had to say something about the experience side of it, because I do work with vendors that are a lot bigger and have a lot more experience and still need oversight. So it's not something that just because they're a solar company, they might do an absolutely great job and everything's fine, but it's that if you don't have that third party oversight and something does go wrong, it can cost you. To your point about if they are doing a superb job, some of these tasks are things that we're going to be doing no matter what, but if our level of effort does need to be scaled down, we can definitely talk about scaling it down or not billing you the full amount for it.
Great, thank you. And I do think I am convinced of the third party oversight. Even if they do a brilliant job, it's still nice to make sure that there's somebody advocating directly for us. So I really appreciate you coming and addressing that, putting my concerns to rest, educating the rest of the board, and I appreciate that. So if it does turn out that we can scale back, and I would leave that up to the general manager running this, if it turns out that we do not need all that, then I trust that will be considered and brought to light. So thank you. That's all I have.
So, and Director Scobie, I just want you to know that this is the third contract extension that we've had as we've moved through this solar process. And at each time, they were always under what the agreement was. So they do bill truly for time and materials.
Oh, good. Thank you for that.
And it's probably worth reinforcing there that part of what we're doing too here is supporting our district staff, because if we don't have a third party, the burden of that falls on our district staff, and especially in light of transitions we're in the middle of right now, let alone COVID opening up and everything coming. I'm grateful that ARC is stepping in on this. There is one, Nico, you might know the situation. There was a a change that happened or a situation that came up with the high school district installation, I believe, with digging and foundations for one of the structures. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know all too well what you're talking about. Yeah.
Because that felt like a great illustration of why this is good. Could you tell us that?
So I was,
if it's possible, briefly.
Yeah, I'll try to say as much as possible. So that was a situation where we were the consultant with the El Dorado Unified School District and helped them get a vendor on board that assumed the underground risk for all of the soils conditions up there. And there's two particular issues, but as that project got going, an assumption that was made had changed in their design. And so they had requested a change order to reflect the fact that their foundations were deeper than their original assumption. And we as the consultants, as a third party, were able to know the whole project history and give the district what they needed to make a decision one way or another. And so that could have been a potential change order that was as costly, and we helped them drive that down. So that's a PPA too, and all those things are financed over the life of them. So you tack on X amount of cents per kilowatt hours, and they're all kind of based on models. And if the system does better, you're going to be paying more for it. But the two examples there were the ones that are in the room going to bat first for our clients to stand up for what was agreed upon up front and fight those changes and come to a reasonable solution.
Yeah, I heard about that, and you all saved that high school district some significant.
Yeah, that's one of the perks to me, honestly, about being in this role in the public sector, is that we're working with agencies and different groups that might not have all the resources all the time to have their eye on that. And when you have someone that's done a lot of these up and down the state, we know what to look for, and we know what's reasonable, and we know what's not. And so it does help to have that backstop there, to always have somebody looking out for it. And I take personal pride in being able to defend those projects when they need to be defended.
Dr. Scobie?
Yeah, actually, you just reminded me of another question. Super quick. Any update on that transformer for PG&E? Is our transformer big enough?
So there's no final word, but the best update is that Brighton came out of the gate being very responsible. And when that question was brought up at one of these meetings, I contacted them right after and said, hey, you need to keep your eyes on this as kind of an upfront issue. And so they're communicating directly with the PG&E rep, and we haven't seen anything so far that says that would be a big concern, but they really are doing their best due diligence up front before that application goes in, so we can get a better sense.
Great, thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments from board? Okay, seeing none, I'll open this up to the public for questions and comments. Members of the public, feel free to raise your hand. We'll call on you.
No hands.
Okay, we'll close public comment and then bring this back to the board. All right, board members, is there any other discussion that you want to have around this? Worth noting that the funding for this has been identified, and because we had already approved our mid-year budget adjustment, we are expecting to realize additional property tax revenue beyond this, and that's where we'll cover that from. So I know that's always a concern for us, as we're trying to still balance everything.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. Having reviewed this in the budget and admin committee and talked through it with Jill, I'm also very supportive of this. You know, I was going to say, and I will say, that the putting of solar panels on buildings is a relatively new industry, and it's changing, and it's even more important to have, you know, an expert on our side. But then I was thinking, you know, bridges, humans have been building bridges for thousands of years, and things go wrong with them too. So maybe, you know, whether it's new or old technology, I'm just still glad to have somebody on our side of it to make sure that it goes well. So I feel very comfortable with this, and I'm just looking forward to getting those solar panels working.
All right, any other comments from the board, or do I have a motion?
I would like to make the motion, since I gave him such a hard time. I'd like to make a motion to approve the additional funding for ARC to see us through. I don't have the motion in front of us, so I'm struggling with what it says. But
Approving
whatever this item is,
approving resolution 2021-09.
thank you. I'd like to approve resolution
2021.
2020-21. Sorry, it jumped. Yeah, that's my motion.
I'll
Struggled
second,
that one out. Oh.
I'll second the motion to approve the ARC Alternatives Agreement for assistance with implementing solar project for the Cameron Park Community Services District. Total agreement costs $59,710, budget adjustment of $36,000 in fiscal year 2020-21 to fund agreement. No, that's not even the resolution either. Look at that.
That's the
Wait.
agenda item.
Yeah.
But thank
Let me
you for reading
second.
that anyway.
Let me second your motion to approve agreement with ARC Alternatives for solar project consulting services and adopt a budget adjustment of $36,000 to fund the agreement, which would be resolution number 2021-09.
Thank you for clarifying my motion. That's it.
Okay, so with the motion to approve and the second, General Manager, would you please take roll call?
Director Easton,
Aye.
Director Carlson,
Aye.
Director Bazette,
Definitely aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Wooten, and you're muted, Director Wooten. Ellie, can you give us a thumbs up?
And now we can see you, Director Wooten.
Can you
Alyssa
nod
might
your
be able
head?
to unmute
There
her.
you are.
Okay, aye.
All right, thank you, Director Wooten. All right, we have a 5-0 vote to approve resolution 2021-09. Wonderful, great job, and thank you again, Nico, for being here with us again tonight. We always appreciate having you, just enlighten us, but you make us better. And we're looking forward to
problem.
talking with you more as this moves along. This is exciting. Thank you so
Sounds
much.
good.
Thanks,
All right,
Nico.
take care, everybody.
Okay.
See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, let's move on to general business item number 12. This is approved resolution 2021-10. General Manager, would you please introduce us to that and explain?
Yeah, so we're going to tag on to this with this solar project discussion tonight. This is asking your approval of resolution number 2021-10 to authorize the general manager to sign documents related to the planning, implementation, and completing the solar project, which is a PPA between Brighton and the district. As you can tell, things are moving very quickly through this process. We have already started our meetings. The documents that I'll be signing are things like permits from the county. It'll be authorizations with PG&E, and it's those kinds of things. So it's not actually a construction document, but all of those other designs. Also making decisions for slight changes in the design and things like that. So just know that this project is going to move on. And very quickly. We didn't want to hold it up with a lot of board meetings. I think that you have approved the PPA, you have approved the, by and large, the design. And so now staff,
Right.
ARC, Brighton are moving on with the project, but we do need your authorization for me to sign those documents. Let me speak a little bit about the project because we've had 2 construction meetings so that all of you and our audience also, and I saw Jana was in the audience for the newspaper, can understand what we're going to be faced with in the next few months. Alyssa, can you go to the attachment for the community center layout? There was a slight change in the location of one of the panels for the community center. And it's that one that Alyssa is showing right there. It moved closer to Country Club. So instead of being on the fence line for the pool, it moved across the parking lot. It was better location. One, the van accessible disabled parking spot that's right on the curb that some people trip over is actually going to be moved across the street. So that van accessible spot for the disabled will be underneath, it'll be shaded and it'll be underneath the solar panel. And then there will be a sidewalk. There's already a sidewalk in that area that leads from the bridge across. So there will be a path so that and the grade will be consistent with that, but there will be access for there. So that was a slight change in the design that I wanted to let you know about. There is landscaping underneath that. Mike is here tonight. He and I talked about the landscaping that would be underneath that solar panel. We're just going to go ahead and remove that and cap the irrigation. I think there's not a lot of benefit to the landscaping in there. So, and we'll just put rocks. Dr. Scobie has suggested rocks or wood chips in that area. Also, our parking lot will be fully closed for 2 to 3 days and also at Station 89, their public parking lot, when they put in the stanchions. So when they put in those big pillars that hold up the panels, the parking lot will be closed for safety. We will not have to close the pool proper. We will not have to close any of the offices. But what we'll have to do is make sure that everybody has a safe path of travel. So if kids are being dropped off for swim team, they may be dropped off at the bridge, on the street, come across the bridge, come in that way. So really important that we have, and everybody feels Brighton and ARC thinks that we can do good ingress and egress for everyone when the parking lot is fully closed. After the full closure, parts of the parking lot will be under partial closure. So there will be portions that are partially closed. And because of all that, as you heard, we're kind of modifying our recreation programs this summer. And at this point, we will not invite back any of our external user groups. So like Rotary, who was coming for lunch, or some of our other clients that use us consistently that are from the outside. I think it would be best if, due to COVID and the solar project, that we just restart the rental of our community center for those external customers after Labor Day. And when I talked to Nico about that, he felt that that was pretty safe for us to start planning to reopen after Labor Day for that. So I think that was my update on the project. If you have any questions about the project, I can let you know what we know now. And then we're asking for approval of the resolution. So.
Okay. Thank you, General Manager. And Mike, I know you're here. I think you'll get some questions too.
Yeah.
Director Scobie, I see your hand. Would you like to start?
Yeah, I'm just curious. You said you're going to keep the grade the same. So does that have our ADA access will go around the circle, or is it going to cut through the parking lot?
So if I said that we're keeping the grade the same, I didn't mean that. I should have said that we're going to make sure that the grade is appropriate for ADA access. So, and I should note, Mike and I both participate in those weekly construction meetings.
So the access will go across the parking lot, kind of like a little crosswalk there.
Right.
Okay. And then just curious, for that landscaping that's going to be removed, can it be repurposed and replanted somewhere if it's not too much work?
I think some of the stuff absolutely can. So when we get ready to tear out some of that existing landscape, we'll definitely keep that in mind and look for some areas that make sense to replant it.
Great.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Bless you, Director Carlson.
Directors, are there questions? Director Bazette?
So while we're shut down, is that going to affect the people going to the library? Or is there a lane open, or how is that going to work?
The library parking lot should not be affected. But the other good thing I had when Carolyn Brooks and I traded emails, their library may be closed this summer due to some building renovations that they're going to be doing over there.
Hmm.
So that actually may be great because we might be able to park over there. So.
Okay, I just want to look for anything we could find.
Good question.
But we need to make sure that we don't have contractors piling up on each other, that they have proper access.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And we have alerted all of our clients who have been using it. Placer Food Bank has got a line on 2 alternate locations that they're talking about right now, Foothill Church, and also I put them in touch with Marshall Medical Center. So they are looking to relocate just for a couple of months and then they may be back.
All right, directors, any other questions? One question I have for you, Mike, and this is just, you're more familiar with it. In looking at the picture of where the structure will go, where the ADA parking is, and we're taking out that landscaping. I'm just curious how much of that landscaping is a visual buffer for our neighbors across the street, or does it make much difference because we're moving that structure across the parking lot just a little more prominent, but I might be over imagining that. Just trying to be considerate for neighbors.
Yeah, the structures that are going across the parking lot, kind of by the bridge and creek area. We keep the trees as best we can, skirted up to 6 to 8 feet anyways. So they don't really provide any privacy at all for the residents on the other side of Country Club.
Okay.
We will have to take some of those trees and remove a couple, and then we'll have some limbing to do on some of the oak trees in there. But yeah, as far as a buffer for the neighbors, there's none.
Okay, I just couldn't remember if we were removing something that all of a sudden their view is different. That's all.
No, not at all.
Okay, great, thank you for that. And Director Scobie, yes?
Yeah, now that you brought up there's trees, of course I'm thinking of like little, shrubs. If we're moving, if I understand why removing the panel across the street was, I guess I don't really quite understand. It's because it was better solar. Is that what I heard?
I think it's a size issue.
Yeah, I think it was a size issue. I think it's in the staff report.
Okay.
Yeah. The location is a smaller structure. And so if I remember right.
So,
and then because, I mean, if I guess limbing up oak trees isn't a big deal, but if we, run into having big trees, just want to make sure there's nothing big in there that we're going to be damaging.
Yeah, no, there's no oak. If we do have to remove trees, there's definitely no oaks that are going to be impacted at all. They're all further back towards the creek bank. And then all the landscaping that I was referring to about repurposing is actually around the pool, because the solar is going to put those plants in the shade for 90% of the day. And so we would look to replant those because they are full sun plants.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay.
So.
I'm sorry, go ahead, General Manager.
That's all right. It says here, the rationale for the location change is to conform to the National Fire Prevention Association clearance requirements for the drive path and access to the fire hydrant. Okay. So, and I do want to say that Kellen Richards is also joining us on those weekly construction meetings.
And I'll bring up at this point, some of these questions would probably be just as good in staff to and from. Probably be good for us to stay focused on the resolution, just signing construction documents for this, because I have a couple other questions I'd like to bring up too. Let's stay focused on this resolution. So are there any other questions from board members regarding this resolution authorizing the general manager to sign documents? Anything else? Okay, we'll open up to the public for any comments.
No hands.
Thank you. Seeing none, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the board. All right, do we have any other comments, questions, additions, or Do we have a motion?
Well, I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 2021, authorizing the general manager to sign documents required for planning, implementing, and completing the solar project.
I'll second the motion.
2021-10.
10.
Oh, -10.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. General Manager.
Director Easton,
Aye.
Director Carlson,
Aye.
Director Bazat,
Aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Wooten.
Aye.
All right. Resolution passes 5-0 vote. Thank you very much, everybody. Continuing good work on this. All right, general business item number 13, to approve nomination of Monique Scobie, almost said Scobunny, sorry, for El Dorado Local Area Formation Commission Special District Director.
Holy cow.
All right, Jill, would you fill everybody else in on this, please?
Yeah, I'm just so pleased that our board is coming forward with a nomination for to be a member, the special district representative. There's 2 opportunities on LAFCO's on the LAFCO board commission. I think that if approved by this board and nominated by this board, Monique Scobie will be then considered by all of the special districts in El Dorado County. So that includes, cemetery districts and fire districts and all the other districts. And so other districts may be nominating people, but so it'll come back to us to vote on who we think should be on the LAFCO commission. So this is the first step in a couple of step process, but we're really excited about this. And I think that this is a really important time at LAFCO and directly affects our district, especially because LAFCO is going to be making some decisions about fire protection services in El Dorado County. And so I think it's really nice for us to be connected and perhaps have a seat on the table. So anyway, I don't know if you want to say anything, Monique, but I know I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I did. I'm hope you guys are supportive of my nomination. I think the best thing we can do as a district is have a seat at that table. I mean, I'm gonna learn a lot. Hopefully I'm a quick study to bring myself up to speed, but with the experience here, learned at the district, I think that, I'll be able to be an effective participant. So I'm really hoping that you guys would consider my nomination.
Any of you directors have questions for Director Scobie regarding the nomination?
I can't think of anyone better for that position.
This is Felicity. I don't have questions. I just really, really appreciate your stepping up, Director Scobie. So thank you so much. And I sure hope that you get it. So I support this.
Right. If there aren't any other questions, I'll open it up for public comment and questions.
Who's going to drive me to the meetings at night?
No hands, Eric.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the board for additional comment or discussion. And I'll just chime in too, Monique, I really appreciate you doing this. It is really important for us to be in this, and obviously there's still an election to be had for it. But I have great confidence in you, not just representing us, but doing your due diligence and asking your questions and making the voice heard that needs to be heard. So at this point, we're looking for either other comments or a motion.
I move that we approve the nomination of Director Scobie for the Local Area Formation Commission.
Do we have a motion? Do I have a second?
I will second that motion.
Wonderful. And General Manager, roll call.
Director Bazat,
Aye.
Director Carlson.
Aye.
I usually start with Easton. Now I'm all confused. Director Easton.
A hearty aye.
Director Scobie.
Of course.
Director Wooten.
Aye. Aye.
Wonderful. Well, Director Scobie, You have the full support of this board, the hearty support of this board, and we are cheering you on. We're looking forward to seeing what happens here. So please keep us in touch on this and any ways that we can support you in that. We want to do that so very much. All right, that ends our general business for the evening. We'll now move into board information items, where we can speak to board and staff speaking on various issues. So we'll start with general matters to and from board members and staff. Let's start with the board, and I'll work my way down. Director Bazette, let's start with you. Do you have any matters to and from board and staff?
I just wanted to share a conversation and something I checked on with Director Carlson, and it was kind of understanding the demographics of our community. And I was amazed to find the poverty level, which was reflected by the 2 districts that are in Cameron Park, in excess of 15%. And then, can you remember, Director Carlson, the bilingual component? Wasn't it like around 5 or 7%?
Yeah, and just for clarification, Director Bezet looked at the school districts information for the 2 school districts that are present here in Cameron Park. And the poverty level was 15% in one and 17% in the other. And the
Yeah.
second
And
language,
I
think it was 5%, I think, and that was, of course, just for the kids, so not the whole
Yeah.
household. Might be bigger.
But it gave me a picture. And then along with that picture was, and it's interesting, the comments we had from the public person was an article that was in the Mountain Democrat about the fees going up in the mobile home parks. And we have quite a number of them in Cameron Park, and they're some of them are over $900 a month. So it just gave me a picture of our community that maybe we don't often see, that we have families with those lunches at school mean a lot, which aren't always available, and we have elder folks that are struggling, and then and then we have second language issues that we always should be looking at. So I just had a different view of our community, and I'd like to share that with you. And you may already have known that, but I was a little bit surprised by some of those numbers.
Thank you very much. All right, Director Wooten, anything to the board or staff?
Not really. No, this is committee reports. No, I don't have anything going right now. Okay. What is this CD, the Gold Country workshop?
We'll find out about that shortly as soon as we finish going through board and staff.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
You're sure welcome. Director Carlson.
I just want to say that I had a fantastic dinner tonight from Los Pinos, and it was a fundraiser for the Rotary Club. I don't know if anybody else took part in that. Yeah.
Wow.
It made it a hair more challenging to be alert and awake for the meeting. But well worth it to support my community. So I just want to recommend Los Pinos in general, and hope to be visiting there soonish, depending on COVID-ish, safety and all that. But anyway, it was a great dinner, and I'm glad to have supported the Rotary project.
Wonderful.
I'd eat there, but I'm an elk.
I see. And it was a St. Patrick's Day theme at a Mexican restaurant. So we're lots of fun.
Hey. So corned beef burritos.
Burritos.
Green margaritas.
Oh golly.
Well, I just have to end. What can hold a lot of drinks and can stay outside all night is patio furniture. So that's there was lots of patio furniture at Los Pinos restaurant.
All right, thank you, Director Carlson. Director Scobie, you have to top that.
Well, I'm not going to top that. I'm not even going to try. But I liked Los Pinos as well. So I attended the EdSWAC meeting along with Jill, and I'm enjoying immersing myself in all the garbage information. There's actually some very interesting things that one of our other garbage providers are doing, South Lake Tahoe Refuse, in terms of outreach and recycling and reduction that we might be able to use as a model in our community when we get to our sustainability plan. It's definitely something that we could maybe look at, incorporate, reach out with them, because the other woman in the committee, like Whitney, this bubbly, very energetic woman, with tons of ideas. And I think we might be able to leverage that for our community. So
Are they
that's
doing
what I
one
have
up
to
on
share.
Duroc?
No, I'm just talking about the meeting. It's a El Dorado County wide meeting regarding garbage collection in our county.
Right.
And she was one of the, yeah.
Anything else?
Did I answer your question, Ellie?
Yeah.
Anything else, Director Scott?
That's all I had. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I'll report in actually with just a couple questions. Want to chime in on some things. First of all, I forgot to mention it when we were doing the discussion, but Sherry, I still see you're there.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to make sure that the board is in on and aware of the conversation you've had around solar project and Station 89. You told me a little of that. Can you just share with the rest of the board that coordination that's happening regarding the tower too?
Yes, so Jill and I are in constant communication over all of this. I think from the fire department perspective, I have the two concerns that would have are the emergency operations of Station 89 and then the tower installation. And so with 89, the engine and the ambulance typically come in from Cameron Country Club, and they actually, arrive and depart from the road on that side of the station. So they don't really, we can actually work around them installing the solar panels in the back there. When that happens, it's not going to be an issue. And then of course, the preschool that's right next to the fire station, they park in the parking lot. So we'll have signage and we'll go over and talk to them and make sure that they're not parking there to make sure that that's clear and safe. For the installation of the tower, really, really excited to know that it should be installed by the end of May. And so,
wow.
Yeah. So my concern was, when they're going to be shipping on April 12th and probably delivered by April 19th, and they're going to be it's a lot of metal and materials, and I think they're probably going to stage it right where the panels, where we're going to put the solar structure. So and then, but they're going to be in and out and get that thing up. So I think that already got kind of a commitment from the contractor who says he will have it up by the end of May, and then we can have them clear it out, and then we can have the structure put in for the solar panels, which is going to provide a it's going to get that perfect angle of the east to west, the sun, full sun exposure, and also provide shade for people who park under there, the guys who work at the fire station. So I think it's going to work out really well.
And I know the discussion later, but I'll put it to you as we're planning this, because I know part of what we do for, sorry, it's later and I didn't eat it, plus peanuts, but how we account for emergency services and our funding from that, part of that involves overhead costs, et cetera. That's going to shift with solar panels. But there is some cost to that. So I just want to make sure that it's in that consideration, how we structure that. Obviously, we've got time to figure that out. Just want to put that in there for the discussion.
Yeah.
So that's all. Thank you. Appreciate
Absolutely.
It. And General Manager, I didn't know if you had any updates for us on the recycling station on Duroc.
Yeah, I've got a few updates for you guys. First off, I want to thank all of you. I know that the Recreation Department presentation this evening was long for all of you. But I think that they really liked being here. I think that we often know what's happening at the fire department or in parks because those projects come to you through policy or approval of big projects. And I think oftentimes we really don't know what's happening for our recreation programs because they don't always tip a board action. And so I just wanted to thank all of you for, listening to the presentation and being so enthusiastic about it and having them here. I think that it was nice for them to be here. So that was my first thank you. Legislative days, I sent an email out about the CSDA legislative days. If anybody is interested, please let me know because there is kind of a 2-for-1 going on right now. So I know Director Carlson was not able, she went last year. I think that I will not have capacity, but if somebody's interested, let Alyssa or I know. Also, I mentioned the Placer Food Bank relocation already. Eldorado Disposal, Jeff England and I have decided on a date for a tour of the new recycle center in Cameron Park. And so mark your calendars. We'll get some more information out to you, but mark your calendars for Tuesday, March 30th, 5:30 to 6:30. We'll open up the gates and you'll be able, and anybody who wants to come, it'll be a public event. We'll promote it on Facebook and Nextdoor for people to come and see the recycle center. They're not planning to open until later on in April. So it'll be kind of a sneak peek for our community. As you all know, Vicki retired from the district. I think we're all like, wow, you're retiring, which, is great news for her on to her next chapter in her life. I have hired MRG, which is the Municipal Resource Group, who helped with the 2017 recruitment process for the general manager. They have come on board and they are going to be helping with the recruitment and the selection process for the finance officer. And that actually will come out on Monday. So we're going to start advertising on Monday. There will be a 3-week promotion recruitment period. And MRG is going to drive that through different outlets to find the right person. So I expect there to be about a 3-month time frame before we get somebody in that seat. But just know that we are working very quickly to fill that position. Laura has agreed to be the interim finance officer, and budget and admin will see them both, Nikki and Laura, at their next meeting. The one thing I didn't say while Whitney was here was that she did submit the Proposition 68 grant on Friday night. So it was due at midnight, and she and Sherry Lasik and I was in Lake Tahoe, Whitney was in Folsom, and Sherry Lasik was in Sacramento, and we were all on a Google document, and we were all working at the last 11th hour to finish up that grant. So, but we finished it up. And I wanted to mention, woohoo, yes. So it's $1.7 million that we're asking for all of the improvements out at Cameron Park Lake. So we will know this summer. I wanted to mention though, that one of the great things about our grant application that's going to win us a lot of points is that the poverty level in Cameron Park and where those people reside are right near Cameron Park Lake. And so that's very good because it was in that range where we were going to get additional points because we would be servicing our community. So anyway, so I wanted to let you know that. And then let me see, Grant CA Park. Oh, and then Mike talked to me the other day. He will let you know when the renovations at Krista McAuliffe sports fields get started, and you guys can take a visit and go inspect some of the work out at Krista McAuliffe. It's probably going to start in the next week to 2 weeks. And that's all I got. Oh, the CSDA Gold Country chapter is having a virtual workshop on April 21st. And it'll be, we have some a panel for board clerks, and we've got some other things going on. So more information to come. And actually, I think you got some information in the email recently about that. So, okay, now I'm done.
Do you have a question, Director Scobie?
Yeah, just quick on the grant, were we able to add any additional items that were identified into that grant, or did we stick with our current plan?
There's some flexibility in the grant to add some of those things. Also, you have to remember, we won't be, if we get the grant, the board has approved, we'll have some park development impact fees that we can also use for that project because we'll be expanding services. So I think that there's going to be some flexibility with what improvements we actually go forward with. And, you know, the design of our nature play area out on that little island that, you know, there's some concerns about. I think that there's going to be some flexibility to make some changes. I think that there was conversation about, you know, walking path from the road, you know, all those things can be looked at.
Okay, I guess I was, my question was more pointed than that. Did we ask for more than what was submitted by CALA?
We asked for, I believe it was $1.9 million.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Okay. Any other, we'll continue matters to and from. Mike, anything to or from us tonight?
The only thing I was going to touch on was Krista McCullough. So just keep an eye out for the next 1 to 2 weeks for that field renovation to begin, and anticipate the field being closed for the majority of summer with a reopen date of probably late August or early September.
Great. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
And Council Epperson, you are part of staff here too. We haven't gotten to hear from you in a while. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Haven't had anything to say tonight, but thank you.
Which isn't always a bad thing. We just want to know you're okay.
I'm fine, thank you.
Great. My last additions on this couple things is the regular reminder. We want to continue to do our webinars and our education as board members, both for fulfilling our role, and it helps with our insurance and deductions and all that. And Alyssa, I believe you're working on a list. I know you've got a lot of things on your list, but one of those things is to get out to board members things that they can do or need to do.
Yes, and I'm almost finished with it. So
Okay.
expect that pretty soon.
Wonderful. So board members, be watching for that list. I know some of you need some update on your ethics certification. We want to make sure we're keeping up on all of the good practices for that. And one other reminder, I had the privilege of getting to sit and listen to a CC&R committee meeting this month, which was wonderful. Just to remind my fellow board members, part of the Brown Act is that we cannot participate in committee meetings where there are 2 other board members present, so we do not form a quorum. However, we are allowed to be observers, and particularly in a Zoom world, that makes it so much easier. You can, like any member of the public, show up, your face is not there, there's no emotion or expression, and you're muted the whole time. You just get to watch the good business that your fellow board members are doing. I really enjoyed sitting in on CC&R, if you can imagine that statement. I loved seeing my fellow board members do their good work. And so I want to encourage you through the course of the year, if you can find a time to just sit in on another board meeting. It's helpful for us to see what's happening in the other realms besides what we just get in these reports in our general board meeting. Plus the fact that we'll all be sitting on different boards from year to year as we rotate through. So just having some awareness of how that functions is helpful to all of us. So there you go. So good job, CC&R committee. Parks, I'm going to check you out next time. And with that, we'll move on to our committee reports. So first one is budget and admin. Dr. Carlson, do you want to pick that up? Or you want me to?
How about you do, or I'm happy to?
Oh, okay, I'll just grab that and run then.
Okay.
Okay. Last budget and admin, you saw much of what we talked about come here. The ARC Alternatives contract extension. You saw in the reports that we now have a new pool vacuum purchase, which came through us. Thank you, Mike, for that. Appreciate your good work there. Looking forward to the propane savings that will bring us. Couple things that came to us that will come to the board later on is we're looking at reviewing the special funds and fund balances. There's a little more work that'll come to us, but that's going to come to the board as we look at budgets for next year. And there's going to be some good reports in that, as well as some possibilities and decisions to make. So look forward to bringing that forward. Jill, that's going to be May. May, when we'll see those funds come forward.
So the Budget and Admin Committee is going to see the general fund, CCNRs, and LLADs in April.
Right. And
then they'll see all of those things a second time in May, and then concentrate on the reserves and those special funds, those other special funds in May. The board will take action on the LLAD budget in May. It's a little bit earlier than our district budget. And then the rest of the district budget will come to the board in June.
Wonderful. So be looking for that. There's some good stuff in there. Anything else, Director Carlson, from Budget and Admin?
Nope. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, and I'll just highlight one piece. We did it in consent agenda, but the resolution to initiate the engineer's report on LLADs and CCNRs, just recognizing again the work that's gone in from staff over the last year to really tighten that up and clarify it and make those numbers good for the LLADs in particular. So thank you for that. All right, let's move to our next committee report. That's CCNR.
Well, I haven't heard too much from our new gentleman, but I know he's busier than a bird dog. And I have decided to go to the CCNR meetings that are going to be held that are being held on Tuesdays at 8 a.m. in the morning and see what the heck's going on. And that's really about all I have that I can comment on for CCNRs. Our new gentleman he's good. That's about it.
Did we lose Eric? I
Frozen.
think we may have lost Eric.
Eric, oh, there you are.
Hello. Sorry, you lost me. So I must have missed that. Director Scobie, was there anything else you wanted to add to CCNR?
I believe, I think Sid is our chair.
That's our new, yeah.
No,
Director Scobie, you're the chair of the CCNR.
I'm the chair.
You're the chair of the CCNR. I watched you do it.
I thought I unloaded all of that. Okay. Could you scroll on that for me, please, Alyssa, to the next page? Thank you. Yeah, so we got another good introduction going through all the various cases and a little more depth of knowledge of how our CCNR programming and approach is working, and how Jim has added new kind of like kinder and gentler approaches in terms of like giving initial notices and actually putting tickets on, citations. They're not like a ticket, but a citation on a car if you can't identify who it is. And he's out in the field, he says, significantly more, and he's got a huge backlog. I mean, there's with COVID and then with our change in staff in the department that he's trying to whittle away through this 70 cases backlog. So he's trying to get a few done every time, but they're going back over a year. So he has to go out, verify that they still exist, and kind of just picking up where it was at the time. So he is trying to get all that done. And we talked about the architectural review, and that there's a, the committee handbook is out. If you guys haven't seen it, I recommend that you take a look at it. And we talked a lot about using Nextdoor as one of our vehicles to communicate with folks, because we just have a lot of people using it in our community. So yeah, Sid, you want to add anything to that?
I'm not on that committee anymore.
Dang it!
Not either.
Who's on there with me?
It's Ellie.
That would be
Oh my gosh, I'm a disaster. You know, I didn't even go to Los Pinos.
I think you guys have covered CCNR pretty well between the two of you, at least.
Yeah, thank you, Ellie.
Maybe we'll move on. Let's move to the next committee there. And that'd be Fire and Emergency Services. There was no committee meeting, but I don't know from Jill or Sherry if there's anything to report beyond the reports that were listed there.
Looks like they've been busy.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been busy, and Jed is actually in training in Southern California right now, so I'm the pitch hitter for the report. I think the big news is the tower, and which we found out that, like I said, I honestly did not expect it to be in that soon. You kind of get the ball rolling, but the fact that they think it'll be erected by the end of May is I mean, it's beyond exciting for that. And then the first responder fee, we were immediately contacted by DTA, and we are working to get stats for them. And so we have that direct link to our emergency command center with the response times and times on the calls, and the distance that it takes. And so we're going to pretty much give them all the facts, all the stats, and then they can get us their recommendations. So another thing we did was on I know in the report here it talks about Pine Hill Preserve. At the beginning of the month, we finished off burning all the piles on the Pine Hill Preserve. So as you know, last fire season was really busy, especially in the fall. And so there were times when we had the crews that they're cutting and piling up the slash, and we did not have the opportunity to burn it. And I talked to BLM and then we have our crews out there, and I said, we've got to get these piles, gone. They can't be out there this summer. So they've got them all burned, and they actually have chippers out there right now chipping, and I've heard some really good feedback and really good comments from the public on the fact that we are in there taking care of that. And there's still a lot of work to be done, but we are way ahead of schedule. And I've talked to Paul Gilchrist as recently as a couple of days ago about the work that's being done out there. And I think that, we'll just stay on track with that. We have such a great relationship with BLM, and they're tied to some really tight restrictions on when they can burn. And we found a really good opportunity, a really good window to go in there and burn for the whole week. And so from here on out, it was like last year, I said, if we cut brush, we're going to burn it immediately. And then we also, like I said, have the chipper out there. So, yeah, I think other than that, do you have any questions?
No. It's interesting, the report, your incidents have decreased in February. We're seeing a little bit of reduction in what's happening.
Yeah, so we noticed a distinct reduction in last year because of COVID. I mean, it literally was people were saying they didn't want to go to the hospital. They didn't want to be exposed to this. I think we're still experiencing some of that across the county. It will fluctuate throughout the year. And it does have highs and lows, but we're not too far off. I think it was like 8% that we're down.
Yeah.
Right. So, but that being said, I feel that we are still feeling the impacts of COVID until we get, the numbers come down, vaccinations and everything. I think that we're still going to experience that. People, they don't want the exposure. They don't want to go to the hospital. They're avoiding that at most cost. And it makes, sense. So
I get my second shot tomorrow.
Great.
Yeah. And that's good. And I know we've been doing rounds, and we're pretty much, because we're allowed to like vaccinate our own folks, and we were able to vaccinate some CSD folks based on we're not going to waste them. we've seen a significant, as you've seen, the second shot actually has some more side effects because the body it has antibodies and it is going like full attack mode, on that. And I actually was one of the lucky ones. I could not have felt better on my second shot. So my partners were like, anyhow. So I was one of the lucky ones, but it's good. It's getting out there. It's more available, and I think that, like I said, I support. Yeah. Yeah, we're and there's clinics at Red Hawk and they're out there at the some of the pharmacies. It's becoming more available. So
yeah.
Thank you for your good work on all that. Appreciate the report. All right, last committee, Parks and Rec. So Director Carlson, Director Bazette.
And I was getting my second COVID vaccine shot, so Director Wooten covered for me, right?
Yeah, that's right. So,
Yep, okay.
Yep, it was myself and Director Wooten, and we had a workshop presented by the landscape architects on potential designs for the Cameron Park Lake splash pad, and we had quite a few members of the public attending the workshop, people who haven't necessarily attended before. I believe there was a representative from the local Chamber of Commerce. So it was really exciting to have that input. And in general, people were leaning towards a sort of a nature theme, which I think makes sense for Cameron Park Lake. So that was exciting. Jill or Mike, did you have anything you wanted to add about the workshop? No, okay. And then we had the staff oral and written updates. Mike Grassley's always just sounds like your department is so incredibly busy. And I don't recall the details, but if there's anything that you wanted to add from your report, please do.
Yeah, just kind of what Eric touched on. The new pool heater went in last week, and it went in without any hiccups at all.
Good.
And so we're looking to see a pretty substantial propane savings moving forward. Anywhere between the manufacturer specs, anywhere between 20 and 25%. So, which would be great.
Yeah, so that's just great news. And then we had the recreation report from Whitney, and I think we had that in the first hour of tonight's meeting. So I feel like that's pretty well covered. So unless Jill or Mike have anything else to add, I think that pretty much covers it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all your good work tonight. That brings us to the end of our agenda for the evening. So unless there's anything else to add, do I have a motion for adjournment?
I actually have one more thing to add. I would like, this probably belongs under matters to and from more, but with the flow of the meeting, it seems by the time we get to matters to and from, we think we're done. So I'd like to toss to the Budget and Admin Committee to consider changing the order of 15 and 14 on the agenda.
Okay. Duly noted.
And other than that, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we have a motion to adjourn, and we will now adjourn our meeting. It is 9:13 p.m. Thank you to everybody for your good work tonight. Look forward to seeing you all again soon. Take care.
Good night, everyone.